Authors take aim at Anthropic's AI chatbot in a copyright lawsuit. The IRS's aging tech infrastructure is a ticking time bomb for taxpayers. And a creative software package takes on its competition by saying it will not incorporate generative AI. All this and more on the We Don't Need Your Stinking AI edition of #Trending. I'm your host, Jim Love. Let's get into it. In a landmark legal battle, a group of authors has sued artificial intelligence company Anthropic, alleging that the company committed large-scale theft in training its popular chatbot Claude on pirated copies of copyrighted books. The lawsuit represents the first time Anthropic, the maker of Claude AI, has been targeted by writers over copyright infringement claims, but it joins a growing number of similar cases against major AI companies. The three authors bringing the case, Andrea Bartz, Charles Graeber, and Kirk Wallace Johnson, are seeking to represent a class of similarly situated fiction and nonfiction writers. Anthropic and other tech companies have previously argued that training AI models falls under the fair use doctrine, which allows limited use of copyrighted materials for purposes like research and education. But the allegation in the lawsuit are that Anthropic trained its Claude chatbot on a dataset called The Pile that includes a trove of pirated books without permission or compensation to the author. And this allowed Anthropic to strip mine the human expression and ingenuity behind those copyrighted works to build its AI product. The lawsuit disputes Anthropic's claims that its AI systems are learning in the same way humans do, by legally purchasing or borrowing books, and that, supposedly, negates the fair use defense. There's a touch of irony here, as Anthropic has positioned itself as the more responsible and safety-focused developer of generative AI compared to competitors like OpenAI, where its founders came from. The authors argue that Anthropic's actions have made a mockery of its lofty goals through alleged large-scale copyright infringement. Regardless of the impact to Anthropic's reputation, the outcome will be watched closely by the tech industry, creators, and, of course, the legal community. The Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, the agency responsible for managing the U.S. tax system, is facing a technology crisis that threatens to impact millions of Americans, at least according to a recent audit. The IRS is heavily reliant on technology systems that are over 60 years old, systems that are still being used to process tax returns and manage sensitive personal data. Now, despite spending hundreds of millions of dollars on updates over the years, the IRS still lacks a clear strategy to modernize these legacy systems. And this has left the agency and taxpayers vulnerable to delays, security risks, and escalating IT costs. The IRS closed its dedicated technology retirement office, which was responsible for managing the decommissioning of outdated legacy systems, and this has left the agency without a clear plan to address its aging infrastructure. The agency has only successfully implemented 2 out of the 4 recommended strategies for modernizing its technology. The remaining strategies were poorly executed and lacked proper oversight. And the IRS has identified 107 out of 334 legacy systems for retirement, but has only developed concrete plans to decommission 2 of them. This demonstrates a significant shortfall in the agency's understanding and management of its own technology, at least according to the audit. Obsolete systems, some dating back to the 1960s, now account for 33% of IRS applications, 23% of software, and 8% of hardware. And these systems rely on outdated programming languages like COBOL, making them difficult and costly to maintain, if you can find the resources to maintain them. The IRS's IT infrastructure costs have risen by 35% from 2019 to 2023, a trend that is expected to continue without a comprehensive plan to retire legacy systems. The consequences of this technological crisis are stark. Taxpayers face the risk of delays, security breaches, and unreliable service from an agency that plays a crucial role in their financial lives. And before my Canadian listeners smile smugly, the IRS is only the latest, not the only example of huge technical debt that governments at all levels in the US and Canada are facing. It was 24 years ago that we all breathed a sigh of relief that our aging monolithic government system survived Y2K. But we forget that that was a patch, a band-aid on a single problem, and those ancient systems are still running the vast majority of key government services. There's a great debate about government debt and whether that debt will ever come due. That's not our wheelhouse. But governments can't have the same head-in-the-sand strategy with regards to technical debt. Whether these systems collapse under some technical crisis, or just from the cost or inability to support government technology and the demands on it, eventually, technical debt comes due. Procreate, a leading digital art and design app, has made waves in the creative community by firmly rejecting the integration of generative AI into its software. In a video message, Procreate CEO James Kuda expresses his distaste for the direction the industry is headed, stating, "We're not going to be introducing any generative AI into our products. I don't like what's happening to the industry, and I don't like what it's doing to artists." The creative community's concern about generative AI are twofold. First, there is the issue of AI models being trained on artists' content without their consent or compensation. Second, many fear that the widespread adoption of this technology will significantly reduce employment opportunities for human creatives. Procreate's announcement has attracted widespread praise from digital illustrators and designers who are seeking alternatives to apps that have embraced generative AI. For instance, Clip Studio Paint abandoned plans to introduce image generation features after backlash from its user base. In contrast, their competitor Adobe has attempted to define itself as taking a more ethical approach to building in generative AI. Adobe has maintained that their Firefly models are only trained on licensed content. But the company still faced an intense backlash when its terms of services implied otherwise. And Adobe has been slammed by those who feel that the company has turned its back on independent artists and creators. Procreate may have hit a nerve with its firm stance, stating on their website that generative AI is ripping the humanity out of things. Built on a foundation of theft, the technology is steering us towards a barren future. The company believes that machine learning is a compelling technology with a lot of merit, but the path generative AI is on is wrong for us. Procreate's decision to forego generative AI tools has solidified its reputation as a creator-centric company that prioritizes the needs and concerns of digital artists. In the past, it's bucked the software as a service trend by selling its software at a one-time cost. And as the debate around the ethics and impact of generative AI continue, Procreate's unwavering position on AI may further endear the app to creative software users. And that's our show for today. You can find our show notes at our news site, technewscolumn or .ca. Take your pick. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Jim Love. Have a wonderful Wednesday.